What's up, y'all? It's day 3 of Memorial Weekend hunting. 3? Yeah, day 3. Memorial Weekend hunting. Me and my dad came up Thursday after work. Saw a nice 2-point. You wouldn't think a 2-point would be that nice, but it's probably 30-something inches tall. Probably 20, maybe 20 inches wide, but be a perfect deer for my dad. He's getting a bit older, and even though he's in great shape for how old he is, he's 60 years old, still pretty hard for him to hike some of these steep mountains and stuff. He's got a bad knee and his hips jacked up, so yeah, a little bit harder for him to get around. And I keep running into this buck. I've seen him about 6 times this year. Most of the time was scouting, and then yeah, Thursday after work was the first time we actually seen him hunt while we were hunting, which was the day after opening day in Idaho. He was 90 yards, and my dad could not see him. So, and the light was getting pretty low. It was probably 7:30, and yeah, right when we walked over the hill, he locked eyes on us, so we were pretty much screwed. But at least we found him during the hunt, you know. So that's my dad's #1 buck. I think he really wants to shoot it. Big deer, like body wise, even, and he has some character, you know. Not very often do you see a above 30-inch tall 2-point. His horns antlers almost touch at the top, which is really cool. Just a really majestic looking buck. Then we came up yesterday, which was Friday, in the evening. Morning was really bad weather, so we didn't go out. Probably like 30 to 40 mile an hour winds down in town. Like my garbage can and all sorts of stuff were blowing away, like blown over and shit like that. So yeah, we decided to not go out yesterday morning. And my dad's not much of a morning hunter anyway. I have seen a lot of animals scouting up here in the morning, so I want to come up in the mornings. Today's my first morning out during the Idaho hunting season. But I've seen one deer. I'm pretty sure it's the same buck. We call him Porky Forky. Pretty sure it was him. So I had to finish going down this road to glass these side ridges, but I'm getting back up to where I seen the deer. I don't know if it was him for sure or not, and I'm gonna glass that area again. And I mean, I'd probably shoot him too. I know my dad would really want to shoot that buck, but we can always get him another buck. But also, I just haven't shot a buck with my bow in a long time, so really want to get one down. I also got a Utah tag, but yep, last night saw a couple really nice bucks. 4 of them actually. Saw 2 right down in here, and one was a pretty good size 3x4, probably mid-20s height and width, and the other one was a 3-point, but he was over 30 inches wide for sure. Like one of the widest bucks I've ever seen. Definitely over 30 wide, and had some pretty good height on him. Probably 24, 25 inches tall. His back beams were extremely long, which was cool looking. Like I said, I'd want to shoot a buck with some character, and he definitely had character, but I'd never seen him again. We went around to get to the top and hike down because we needed the wind to benefit us, and those bucks had already seen us at the bottom, so they were headed the other way. and we did not see them, but we did spot two really nice 4 points, and they were about 3,000 yards away. And I was coming up with a game plan watching them, and then I noticed another hunter was about 100 yards away from him, but he was looking in the opposite direction, like he was trying to stalk something else. Ended up walking literally within like 70-80 yards of these bucks, and they just, as soon as they seen him coming, they just bedded down in some thick buckbrush. And yeah, he never even seen him. Walked right past him, turned around, walked right past him again. And at this point, it had been like an hour since I had originally seen him. And so I decided to make a game plan on him. And I got over to him about an hour later. So at this point, it'd been like 2 hours. And yeah, I got within 100 yards and just couldn't make a plan work. They had me spotted, and so I turned around and got out of there, but they didn't seem spooked at all. I think they'll be in the same place tonight. So tonight we're gonna go back into that area. We also seen Porky Forky in there, and then those two bucks last night before the 4 points walked into that same area. So we're gonna get up there and glass tonight and see what that brings. It's about 9 o'clock right now in the morning, so I'm gonna see if I can glass up this deer that I saw earlier again, because he disappeared, just so I can see what it is. And if it is a good buck, I might go make a plan on it. But if it's not a good buck, or it's a doe or something, I'll just probably head home and regroup and come up with a game plan for tonight. See ya. They could have seen him from where their side-by-side was parked. So deer bush. But yeah, I don't think they could have seen him from where their side-by-side was parked unless he walked over that knoll like I said. But I never seen him go up over the hill. I did have to drive 20 minutes before I got to the spot to walk up. But I just figured he had probably bedded in the brush where I seen him last, because it looked, that's what he was doing throughout the morning. He was bedding in that brush and then coming back out and standing up and walking around and eating, and then he'd bed down again. And just figured that's what he was gonna do throughout until like early, almost noon, you know. I figured that's what he would probably do. But yeah, I don't know what they were doing. If they were just going in and walking around, and they were doing a really bad job at it, because that's what it looked like. It looked like they were just, oh, this is a good spot, let's get out and walk around right here. But literally they're looking down the hill, glassing when I first seen them. Two guys and 2 kids, and the wind is blowing straight down the hill from them. That's not how you're gonna see animals, I know that. And if you were glassing halfway decent, you would have seen me coming up the coming up the valley. I don't know. It could have just been a timing thing. But since I thought they may have shot something, and they were to me it seemed like they shot at something and they were trying to get another shot off at it. But if that's the case, you probably should leave 3 people in the vehicle and have the person with the bow go out and try and shoot it, you know? You don't want 4 people tromping around in the dry desert looking for, trying to get closer to a deer. And I know he's probably trying to get his kids out and into hunting and stuff, which I totally think is an awesome thing. But it kind of sucks if people do that and they don't know what they're doing, because then they're just teaching their kids bad habits. And the same thing happened yesterday. I mean, I was glassing these 2 bucks like 3,000 yards, and this guy pops over the hill and walks straight past them, turns around and walks straight past them again. If you're watching this, I'm just going to say you will see more deer if you just get up to a high point and glass. And then you can come up with a game plan. And you know what way the wind will be blowing and everything else. And possibly a deer might walk right up on you. You never know. But especially in this country, getting out and just stomping around the woods with a bow, dry, super dry, expect to get a shot, you know. I understand that that's how people have hunted and do hunt, and I do see how you can be successful that way. Like, I know it's possible because I've been scouting and like walking into my spots and stuff sometimes and kick up a buck, but never have I had an opportunity to shoot it with a bow. They're usually 100 or more yards away at that point. But yeah, they're usually 100 or more yards away at that point. So you're not going to get a shot with a bow typically. You might get lucky, and I know some people do. But I also know that there's a guy that I hunt the same area as, and he never sees hardly anything. And when he does, he will not stop walking. He'll see one nice deer in an area, and he will literally walk through that entire area over and over again all season long in hopes of finding that deer, and usually he never sees it again after the first time. Or elk. He does the same thing with elk. Sucks because then the elk and the deer are extremely spooked and blown out of that area, and there's other people hunting the area too, but this guy just keeps walking around this area over and over and over. So eventually the animals leave or go onto private property or whatever, you know. All the scouting and stuff that I put in to this area is pretty much out the window once this guy starts hunting this area, because I mean, I can sit somewhere and maybe he'll push an animal towards me or past me or whatever, but usually the case is he will hunt that area every day for a week, just stomping around, And he might see that same buck a couple times and he never gets a shot at it because he's not hunting it correctly. If you sit up on a really high glassing knob and you spot the animal from a distance, you watch it for a minute to make sure it's going to stay in that spot, and then you come up with a plan to get up there. Try to do it without bumping any other animals, without pushing any other animals out. And I freaking did that yesterday. Like, that guy the guy I'm actually talking about walked 80 yards away from two just absolute beautiful, really large 4-point bucks. And I know this guy, so I know that he would have been thrilled to shoot one of those deer. But he literally was just walking, tromping down the hill, not walking slow, not walking quiet, wind at his back blowing straight down the hill, and walked 80 yards from these bucks, and then got up on the hill across from them, turned around, and they were plain as day. Could see them plain as day from where I was, and I was I was about a mile away, and he was on the hill. He was on the hill in between me and the deer. He was probably 100 yards away from him at this point. Turned around, walked back down the hill. When he turned around right there, if he would have pulled out his binoculars and just glassed that side of the hill, he would have seen both of those bucks standing literally right in front of him. It just blows my mind what people do sometimes. Doesn't make any sense. There's my hunting spot for tonight. Yeah. Just not smart. And it kind of borders the line of bad etiquette almost. Like, I know that not everyone knows how to hunt, and I know that when you start out hunting, you don't know exactly what you're doing, and I am guilty of making mistakes, and learning from them. But I also, I don't know. Just let this be a lesson to everyone out there. I'm not mad at any of these people. Like, that guy walked past those deer twice, and I still went over and got a shot at him. And I still made a mistake, I shouldn't have. When I ranged the spot, the hill that they were on, and then the next one closer, my rangefinder said it was 30 yards. But I didn't realize there was a knoll in between them. And so I got up there and it was like 100 yards. And my original plan was to go up and around them and come down from the top so that I could get closer. Well, I was going to side hill. They were right here. I was going to side hill from over here and basically cut them off. But I didn't. And they pegged me right when I got across from them. They had me nailed, and what I should have done is back down the hill and came from the side like I was originally going to do, and I didn't. I tried to get closer, and I couldn't get that much closer, and shot at them, and it was a long shot, and I missed. So Nobody's perfect, but I will say you will see more deer glassing, especially big mature bucks, glassing from a high vantage point than you will just walking around, especially if you're just walking around and not glassing at all. You're just tromping around the woods hoping that a deer's gonna pop out and give you a shot. The odds are not in your favor. Yeah, hopefully those guys shot that buck, and well, actually I hope they didn't shoot that buck, because if they did, they probably wounded it, because I saw them get back in their side by side and leave, but they were definitely looking for something. I don't know if they shot at it and missed, shot at it and wounded it, or if they were just chasing it around. No idea, but I know that they didn't leave with the deer, so, and I know that they did not care what I was doing. They seen me and they just kept doing what they were doing. So I backed out and stood at the top of the hill and waited for them to finish what they were doing. For one, I didn't want to get mistaken for a deer and have one of them shoot me. And another, if they were tracking a buck, I didn't want to mess something up for them, you know, like push the buck or something. So yeah, I really hope that they didn't wound him, because if they did, they just gave up on trying to track him, which would really piss me off. So that's not good hunting etiquette, especially if you have children with you and you're trying to teach them the right way to hunt. You definitely want to spend as much time as possible trying to find that deer until you find it. I don't care if it's a little buck. I don't care if you've seen more bucks and you just want to go shoot another one. If you shoot an animal and hit it, you should not give up on trying to find him until you know that you made either such a terrible shot, like you gave the deer a flesh wound and you know he's not gonna die, or you fatally injured him and you track him until you find him. Just looking at that area that they were just tromping through. See if I can see that buck anywhere. But I never seen or heard him blow out. But they could have already shot at him before I even started walking up the hill. Who really knows?